Hey everyone, welcome. So this week I am diving right in, and of course, I'm Stephanie from Immersive Spirit. Sorry, intros first. And we're going to talk about Saturn in retrograde to Aries, which is happening later this evening if you are Mountain Time. Our Eastern time frame, folks, it's going to be happening very, very early tomorrow morning, July 13th. So you got to recall, we're in a fast paced world, and so we really rarely get a chance to just stop and pause and to really look within. So 2025, the universe is kind of taking care of that for us because, again, starting tonight, we are getting that great teacher. So Saturn, which is known as a great teacher in our zodiac, it's starting to move backward in the sky, which is our retrograde. Now, in this retrograde, because it's happening in the very fiery and pioneering sign of Aries, it's not something to fear, but it is time for a sacred pause because this next 4.5 months, because it goes until the end of November, but we'll talk dates in just a little bit. But this is going to be about reflection and realignment that will reshape our lives. And it's not just from the outside. You have to be thinking about this. Retrograde's really all about the inside out, right? So what does this really mean? So first, let's talk a little bit about our players. We have Saturn, which of course is the planet of discipline, responsibility, and structure. Sounds boring, I know, but we need that. We need that balance in our life. It's the master architect that asks us to build things that last. So it's looking for that foundation. Then we have Aries, and that's the first sign of the zodiac, right? That's our first fiery sign. It's ruled by Mars, and Aries is all about courage, action, and the raw, untamed fire of our will. So when you put these two things together, you've got Saturn and Aries coming together, you're going to get a really powerful tension because Saturn wants to be slow, it wants to be methodical. Aries wants to just roll over things in fire, right? It's ready to charge ahead. So it can feel like you're trying to drive with the emergency brake on. That feeling of and shift. But this friction is where your magic happens because Saturn's here to temper that fiery passion of Aries, transforming what feels like that very raw impulse into a conscious, lasting strength. So here's a couple of key dates I want you to just think about for your calendar, and we'll go through a few of these as well as we go forward on into next year. But July 13th, which is your Eastern time, July 12th, it's much later this evening if you are Mountain Daylight or Pacific. Until September 1st, this is kind of our main event. So Saturn is retrograde in Aries, and it's putting the spotlight on your identity itself and your ambitions, your courage. So this is really a deep review of self. Then September 1st through November 27th, that review is going to shift gears as Saturn's going to slowly dip back into Pisces for one last visit. And this is because when we go retrograde, we're going backwards, and so Pisces is previous to Aries, and so we're going back into Pisces for a short visit. Time for emotional and spiritual integration. It's that final cleanup of any of the lessons that you've learned from the past few years. Now, November 27th, Saturn is going to station direct. So the internal audit's complete. Forward momentum is slowly beginning again, but this time you're going to be armed with that clarity and a much stronger foundation. As Saturn, just to kind of back this up a little bit, as Saturn entered into Aries, which was May 24th, I had to look here, sorry, May 24th of this year, and then of course it stays in Aries until September 1st. This was all about our internal push. That's that self-reliance, our ambition, learning to balance passion with a plan. It's the retrograde as we're stationing retrograde later tonight and then tomorrow into Aries, where we start the reviewing of ourself, our leadership, our personal responsibility, and where our energy is scattered. And it's funny because Natalie talked about being stuck last week in the podcast, and I think that's really interesting as we move now into our Saturn and retrograde Aries, right? Because it does give you a scattered feeling, which can give you that stuck kind of persona. So when Saturn re-enters Pisces, it'll be in retrograde, but That's September 1st till November 27th, right? We are still retrograde, but we're back in Pisces. We've stepped back that far. That's our final review again of those lessons, your emotional boundaries, and anything really from 2023 to 2025. So really take a look back at over the last few years and what have you been doing? What do those transitions look like? Then we go and we station direct in Pisces on November 27th. That lasts until February 13th of 2026. This is when our review period is ending, our forward motion's beginning, and we're integrating all the lessons learned. Then on February 13th of 2026 until April 12th of 2028, Saturn's going to re-enter Aries in direct. So it'll be direct in Aries, and we're going to be moving forward into that new chapter of selfhood with our maturity and our stronger foundations in place. So how do we work with all this energy? Because that's a lot, and that's a lot of friction. So it's a life audit. And so I want you to focus on 3 key areas. First, your power and your purpose. This transit's a call to take radical responsibility for your life. It asks one simple question: where is your energy going? This is the perfect time to do a commitment inventory. Make a list of everything you're committed to: your job, your relationships, projects, even habits. Then honestly ask yourself for each one of those: does this nourish me, or does it drain me? Is this my authentic truth, or am I doing it out of fear of obligation? This is your chance to prune away what no longer serves you and reclaim your power. So that's one. Number 2, your second one, your career and ambition. You might feel blocked. We talked about this with the stuck energy that Natalie was talking about in our podcast last week. So you might feel blocked. You might feel frustrated, delayed at work, delayed in everything that's being accomplished, whether it's work or at home. These delays, they're not stop signs. They're invitations to look deeper. Are you just going through the motions, or are you building a career with real purpose? This isn't about chasing the next promotion. It's about upgrading your capacity for authentic leadership, building authority that comes from within, not just your ego. And third and final, your relationships and boundaries. Every connection in your life is up for review. Are your relationships, are they built on fairness and mutual support? And that's a big one, and that's a hard one. This is a major period for reinforcing your boundaries. Learning to say no to what drains you is a profound act of self-care. It allows your yes to become a powerful, focused force for creating connections that truly align with who you are. All right, so now that we have talked a little bit about what the expectations are of Saturn in retrograde as we're moving through Aries and then into Pisces and back over into Aries next year, let's go ahead and put together a practical toolkit, right? So some things you can do for this transit, some actionable tips, rituals, and remedies. So to consciously navigate the challenges and opportunities of 2025 Saturn retrograde, it's helpful to have a toolkit. And this chapter, this little blurb here that we're going to walk through, it's going to give you a couple of practices and some rituals, some supportive tools. So first, reflective practice. Commitment inventory. We talked about that. That's perhaps one of the most crucial of the exercises I think you can do during this transit. Lots of astrological resources and folks will be using this because it does involve a radical and honest assessment of your life's obligations. That's listing everything and those commitments. And that means everything: your financial debt, your personal goals, responsibilities, your family obligations, your work obligations, your projects, everything, right? Put it down. Be exhaustive. Then assess. That's going to be your assessing your alignment. Go through that list item by item, each one. Does it genuinely align with my highest tension and the person that I'm becoming? Does it nourish me or drain me? And really go through that and talk about, is it authentic? Is it an old story of fear? Are you looking at perfectionism? Or are you looking at obligation? Then release and renegotiate. Identify the commitments that no longer serve you. For each one, decide if it can be renegotiated, to be more aligned with your needs, or if it just needs to be let go. Sometimes it's best to bless and release. This act of conscious pruning is going to create vital space for what matters. Of course, journaling and self-reflection. We wouldn't be who we were if we didn't tell you to grab a journal. Use journaling as a tool to explore this transit's core questions and dedicate some time to those prompts, because here's a few prompts for you to think about. Where in my life am I spreading my energy too thin? And that's a big one, because we all are spreading ourselves thin in a lot of different ways. So where are you spreading your energy too thin? What are what are your most important, make it your 3 most important priorities right now. What are those 3 most important priorities? And in what situation am I playing the victim or blaming others? And how can I take responsibility for my part in that? What self-imposed limitations am I ready to challenge? And lastly, what does authentic leadership mean to me in my own life? And they're big questions, so spend some time with those, right? Write them down, spend a little time. To tangibly work with the energies of release and restructuring, especially during Aries, the following ritual might help. And you're going to need, if you love rituals. If you don't, feel free to fast forward a little bit. A red or black candle. Red's for that Aries that fire energy, and then blacks for your Saturn's grounding influence. Your completed inventory, so that full commitment inventory. Grab a pen, a small bowl of salt or earth. Salt is representing the earth for you if you don't have a bowl of dirt. And then a quiet space. So you're going to create your sacred space. So light your candle, take several deep breaths, centering yourself in the present moment. Set a clear intention for the ritual, such as, I intend to reclaim my power and restructure my life in alignment with my highest good. Then do an authenticity check. Review your commitment inventory. With your pen, you're going to place a star next to the items that feel genuinely aligned and life-giving. Circle the items that feel draining, inauthentic, or rooted in your old obligations. And then you've got the release. So for each of those circled items, I want you to take a pinch of salt or earth into your palm and speak the name of the commitment aloud and say, I release this commitment which no longer serves my highest good. I trust that in letting go, I create space for what truly matters. Now gently blow that salt or earth away from your palm. If you can be outside, all the better. But you're visualizing that obligation dissolving and that energy returning to the universe. Because the universe is meant to grab all this energy and restructure it and give it back to us in the powerful form we need. Then the recommitment. Now turn to your starred items. For each one, hold your hand safely over the warmth of the candle flame. Don't burn yourself. And speak the commitment aloud and say, I recommit to whatever the starred item is with conscious intention and authentic energy. I will show up for this with integrity and focus. Feel the warmth from the candle sealing your intention. And then our integration. On a clean sheet of paper, write down three specific actionable steps you will take in the coming week to honor your new focused commitments and to finalize the release of what no longer serves you. Place this list somewhere where you will see it daily. And then you close your session, your ritual up with a moment of gratitude for the clarity you've received and safely extinguish your candle. Of course, if you're a crystal gal or guy like myself, grabbing a few crystals in this ritual is never going to hurt things. So certain stones can be very helpful, especially during this transit, because you're going to need some additional grounding. Black tourmaline, black obsidian, black onyx, all known for being very grounding properties and their ability to absorb any of the negative or heavy energies, especially as you're going through this commitment ritual. Garnet is a great grounding stone as well. It's a big root chakra stone if you study the chakras, and that's going to help foster success and strength in the face of adversity. Okay, all of that to get to this. Navigating this period is going to be about embracing the slowdown, folks. It just is. Don't fight the delays. Use them to refine your plans. Reframe your discipline, not as a punishment, but it's as a loving act of building a life that can truly sustain you. This Saturn retrograde is a cosmic reset button. It's an intense and at times challenging process of forging to a new self. But the result, undeniable. It's undeniable strength, unwavering integrity, and a truly clear sense of purpose. And by doing this inner work, you're going to emerge from the forge, not weakened, but tempered, ready to build your future on the solid rock foundation of your own truth. All right, and I think that's all I've got for you on this Saturn in retrograde. I'm sure that there is more that I could talk to about this in Aries, but we look forward to this time. Retrogrades are always interesting. They always bring an interesting dynamic because they do focus. They force us to go inward and to focus. And right around the corner, as in like next week, we have Mercury retrograde kicking it back in the pants too. So there will be more coming on that. But again, Mercury retrograde is not something to fear. It's something to embrace. And we'll talk about that when I do the next little shout out for astrology. Until then, have a great rest of your weekend. I'm Stephanie with Immersive Spirit. We'll see you in the stars.